A woman stole my shopping cart in a packed store, laughing, "I need this more than you. Find another one." When I took it back, she screamed, "You just ruined my day." The manager walked over, reviewed the footage, and smirked, "Funny, because you just got yourself kicked out." She shrieked as security dragged her toward the exit. I never post, but something happened a while back that still sticks with me. I think about it more often than I should. It started as just another annoying grocery store visit. It turned into something much bigger. This was right before Thanksgiving, and I live in a pretty busy part of Chicago, just outside the downtown area. A place where people hustle, traffic never stops, and every grocery trip feels like a mission. I'm a 34-year-old woman. I live alone, but I was planning to cook dinner for my mom and my sister. Just a small Thanksgiving meal. We weren't going all out, just something homemade and nice. My sister was driving in from Rockford, and my mom has a bad hip, so she can't shop anymore. That meant I was doing it all myself. It was the Saturday before Thanksgiving, which I now know is the worst day of the year to go grocery shopping. I pulled into the Jewel-Osco on Clark Street around 10:45 a.m. The parking lot was already a disaster. People were parked on the ends of rows, in fire lanes, even on the sidewalk near the red box machine. I almost gave up and went home. It took me 10 minutes just to find a spot. Then came the real problem. There were no carts. Zero. People were standing at the front entrance like they were waiting for concert tickets, watching the parking lot for anyone returning a cart. Every time someone came back with 1, 3, or 4 people would swoop in and argue over it. I waited about 5 minutes and finally spotted a single cart sitting next to a light pole near the handicap spots. It looked fine, not wobbly, not broken. Just abandoned. I speed-walked over and grabbed it. A small win. I went inside and got to work. The store was completely packed. Every aisle had at least 10 people in it. Everyone looked stressed, tired, and irritated. Kids were screaming. One lady was yelling into her phone about sweet potatoes. It took me over 30 minutes to get everything on my list. I had turkey breast, box stuffing, canned cranberries, frozen green beans, and 2 bottles of wine, one red, one white. I was almost done. Then it happened. I was in the produce section, reaching for a bag of Brussels sprouts, when I felt something pull at my cart. At first, I thought someone bumped into it. I turned around, and there she was. Mid-40s. Blonde. Spray tan. Huge sunglasses on inside the store. Black puffer jacket, tight jeans, heels, yes, in a grocery store, and what looked like a fake Chanel purse. She had one hand on the cart and was already walking away with it. My brain froze. It took me a full 2 seconds to realize what was happening. "Excuse me," I said. "That's my cart." She didn't stop. She didn't even look sorry. She glanced over her shoulder, smiled, and said, "I need this more than you. Find another one." Then kept walking. Not a joke. Not a mistake. Not confusion. This woman intentionally walked up and took my cart like she had every right to do it. I said, louder this time, "Hey, that's mine." She kept walking, pushing it toward the meat section like she was queen of the store. That's when I snapped. I walked right up, grabbed the cart handle, and pulled it back toward me. She stopped in her tracks, stunned. "I've been shopping for 30 minutes, I said. "You can't just steal someone's cart." Her smile disappeared. Her tone changed immediately. "You just ruined my day," she hissed. Her voice got loud. Loud enough that other people nearby started turning their heads. "Are you serious right now?" she shouted. "I'm shopping for my kids." I glanced inside the cart. Nothing in it had changed. Still my turkey, still my wine, still my groceries. Nothing kid-related. "You don't even have anything for kids in there," I said. She stared at me, then looked around like she was waiting for people to come to her defense. Nobody did. So she went louder. "This is abuse," she yelled, backing away like I had physically attacked her. That's when the store manager showed up. I don't know where he came from, but it was like he'd been watching the whole time. Maybe someone called him over. His name tag said Peter. He looked early 30s. Worn out. Tired eyes. The look of someone who's seen too much holiday madness. "What's going on here?" he asked. Before I could say anything, she jumped in. "She stole my cart," she shrieked. "She's been following me around the store and then grabbed it." Peter blinked like he wasn't surprised. "Is that true?" he asked me. I pointed to the cart. "That's my turkey. That's my wine. I picked all of that." She walked up and took it from me while I was getting produce. Peter looked at both of us. Then said the magic words, "We have cameras. Let's go take a look." Her face went pale. No, this is ridiculous," she said. "I don't have time for this." Peter stayed calm. "If it's your cart, you've got nothing to worry about." I nodded. "Let's go." The security room was small, tucked behind the customer service desk. There was a bald guy named Lamar running the cameras. He barely looked up when we walked in. Peter told him the time and location. Lamar queued up the footage from the produce section. We all watched together. Clear as day, me shopping, reaching for Brussels sprouts. Her walking up, grabbing my cart without hesitation and pushing it away. Then me walking over and pulling it back. Peter looked at her. Doesn't look like it was your cart. She opened her mouth but said nothing. Peter folded his arms. Ma'am, we're going to ask you to leave the store. Are you serious? She snapped. I didn't even do anything. She assaulted me. I hadn't laid a single finger on her. Peter turned to Lamar. Can you walk her out, please? Lamar stood up, all 6 feet 3 inches of him, and motioned toward the exit. The woman started to argue, then stopped. She glared at me. You people are disgusting, she spat. Nobody responded. She stormed out, Lamar behind her. As she left, I heard her yell, I'm never coming back here again. So she's gone. Stormed out like a drama queen in the middle of a soap opera meltdown. Lamar escorted her out, and I could still hear her screaming as the doors swung shut behind her. I half expected her to throw herself on the hood of a passing car. Peter, the manager, turned back to me and said, Sorry about that. He looked exhausted. Does this happen often? I asked. He nodded, rubbing his face. More than you'd think. But that woman in particular? She's been a problem before. That got my attention. Wait, you knew her? Yeah, he sighed. She's been banned before, actually. For starting fights in the bakery section. We lifted it last year after she sent some formal complaint to corporate, and they forced us to give her another chance. He paused. Guess that was a mistake. I checked out. The cashier had clearly overheard everything and gave me this quiet little nod like I was some kind of folk hero. An older woman behind me said under her breath, Good for you, honey. These people think they can just do whatever they want. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt shaken. It wasn't just the yelling. It was how fast she flipped from calm to chaotic. The way she lied, as if she'd done it 100 times. Like it was a skill. I went home, unloaded my groceries, and sat down on the couch with the wine I definitely earned that day. About an hour later, my phone lit up. It was a text from my sister. Did you see this? OMG, is this her? She sent me a screenshot from Facebook. There it was. On a local Moms of North Chicago group page, which I'd never even heard of, someone named Gina F. had posted a long rant titled, Attacked at Jewel by a Violent Stranger, Beware. She wrote 3 paragraphs about being bullied, manhandled, and shamed in front of her children. She doesn't even have kids with her, and blamed the store for refusing to help a struggling mother. There were dozens of comments. But here's the twist, they weren't defending her. One woman wrote, Was this around 11 a.m.? Because I was there and saw the whole thing. That lady didn't touch you. You stole her cart. Another person chimed in, Is this about the Brussels sprouts lady? Because that was wild. Then the floodgates opened. Turns out, this wasn't her first public meltdown. People were sharing their own stories in the comments. One said she screamed at a cashier during Easter last year because they were out of lemon cake. Another said she'd been caught stuffing products into her purse and blamed racist policies when called out. She'd been known by name. Someone literally typed, Wait, is this Regina again? LMAO. 3 days later, I went back to Jewel for some last-minute items, whipped cream, foil trays, that sort of thing. Thanksgiving was 2 days away. I assumed things had died down. I was wrong. As I walked in, there she was. Regina. Right at the entrance. No sunglasses this time. Still wearing that same black puffer jacket. Arguing with Peter. I don't care what your little footage shows, she was saying. You had no right to humiliate me like that. I have friends in corporate. Peter didn't flinch. You're not allowed in the store. We already spoke to legal. Regina saw me walk in. Her face changed. She pointed at me, like something out of a bad movie. Her. She started this. She's the reason all these people are attacking me online. Peter stepped in front of her like a security wall. She's a paying customer. You're not. I will sue. Regina shouted. She was getting louder. People started filming. I saw 2 teens in pajama pants holding up their phones, grinning. Regina turned and slapped one of the phones down. That did it. Peter radioed someone. Lamar, front entrance. She tried to make a run for it. Not out the store, deeper inside. Toward the back, like she was going to hide in the freezer aisle or something. I don't know what her plan was. Lamar met her at the bread section and calmly guided her out. She was yelling the whole time. This isn't over. You think you've won. Later that evening, I got a knock on my apartment door. My stomach dropped. I opened it, and it wasn't Regina. It was a woman. Maybe late 20s. Brown hair in a bun, nervous smile. Hi, are you the person from the Jewel thing? She asked. Yes. I'm Regina's daughter. Well, stepdaughter. I didn't know what to say. She held out a manila envelope. She asked me to give you this. I didn't take it. She kept talking. I'm sorry. I know she's difficult. She thinks you're trying to destroy her online. She wants to settle this. I think she's just embarrassed. I finally asked, what's in the envelope? A letter. And a cease and desist. I stared at the envelope. My hands were dry. I could hear my own pulse. Something about someone showing up at your home, uninvited, holding what might be a legal threat. It messes with your head. I didn't take the envelope. I said, I'm not accepting anything until I know what it is. The stepdaughter nodded, looked around nervously, and then said something that caught me off guard. She does this kind of thing all the time. What do you mean? She's always threatening people. She's filed fake reports before. Against coworkers, neighbors, even a teacher once. It's her pattern. I was quiet. She told me if I didn't bring this, she'd kick me out, she added quickly. You live with her? Unfortunately. She lowered her voice. Just so you know, that Facebook post? She created 3 fake accounts to comment under it. She's trying to make it look like people support her. I was floored. That level of manipulation. For a shopping cart? The woman finally dropped the envelope on the floor outside my door. I've done what she asked. I'm sorry. She turned and left. I let the envelope sit there for a while. Then I picked it up. Inside was a badly formatted document with Google Docs fonts and uneven margins. The first line read, to whom it may concern, cease and desist all further harassment, libel, defamation, and slander against my name. She had spelled defamation as defamation. There were no lawyer names, no letterhead, no signature. Just Regina's typed-out name at the bottom and a copy of her Facebook post printed on thin office paper. It was ridiculous. But that's when I started to feel something deeper than anger. Something worse, concern. Because she wasn't just some random loud lady anymore. She was someone who tried to frame me, lie about me, chase me through social media, and now, send someone to my front door. And suddenly, it didn't feel safe anymore. I called my sister that night. I told her everything, especially about the visit. She went quiet for a second. Then said, you need to Google her. So I did. Her real name, Regina Florence McKay, brought up a few old links. Not much at first. But then my sister found something buried in a local news archive. An article from 2015, Northside woman charged with disorderly conduct after incident at Lincoln Park Zoo. The name matched. The photo? Definitely her. It said she had yelled at a family, spit on a volunteer, and refused to leave a private event after crashing a corporate picnic. Claimed she was invited by God. The charges were dropped, but the article was real. My jaw dropped. A few Reddit searches later, I found someone on r/Chicago Foodie ranting about a woman in a puffer jacket who tried to take cupcakes from a charity booth and screamed when asked to pay. The timeline fit. The description matched. The behavior was consistent. The next day, I went back to Jewel, not to shop, but to talk to Peter. He met me in the front by the customer service desk. I said, you know she sent someone to my apartment, right? His eyes widened. What? She had a family member bring me this fake cease and desist. I handed it to him. He read it and laughed under his breath. This woman's unhinged. But then he got serious. I'll let corporate know. We were already documenting everything, but now it's personal harassment. That's when he told me something else. She's trying to sue the store. Says we discriminated against her. What? She filed a complaint with our regional office claiming the staff colluded against her and violated her rights as a customer. Peter rolled his eyes. We had to submit the security footage to legal. I asked, can I get a copy of that footage? He paused. Technically, we can't release it without legal involvement. But, he glanced down at the computer, then back at me. If corporate gets a subpoena or police request, it becomes accessible to both parties. You might want to file a police report. I took Peter's advice. That evening, I went to the local precinct and filed a harassment and intimidation report. I showed them the letter, explained the in-store incident, and told them about the daughter coming to my apartment. The officer on duty, Officer Reyes, was professional but curious. Is this lady stalking you? Not yet, I said. But she's escalating. He nodded, took down the info, gave me a case number. Then he said something strange. She's been reported before. This isn't the first complaint. Last year, someone filed a report for a similar thing, property interference, screaming in public, impersonating staff. She pretended to be an employee? Yep. Wore a red polo to Target and started helping people. They only figured it out when she yelled at a manager. A few days later, I got a letter in my mailbox. Not in an envelope, just folded and shoved in there. It read, you think you've won. But people like you don't stay clean forever. One day someone will expose who you really are. Maybe it'll be me. Maybe not. But you should watch your back. No name. No return address. Just that. I called Officer Reyes. He came by and took the note. Handwriting comparison later showed it matched a sample from Regina's previous report. That made it official. Now there was an open harassment case on her. And a pending restraining order request. It had been almost a week since the letter in the mailbox. I hadn't seen Regina again. No more visits. No more Facebook lies. No stepdaughter this time. But then, Thanksgiving morning of all days, I got a call from Peter at Jewel. "Hey, you're going to want to come by," he said. "I'm cooking." I know. But she's here. Again. And this time, she brought someone else. She says she wants to talk to you. I didn't want to go. But something told me I had to. So I turned the oven off, put on a hoodie, and drove. I walked into the store and there she was, Regina. Hair still teased, fake purse slung on her shoulder. But she wasn't yelling. She wasn't even talking. She was standing next to a man in his late 50s. Balding. Serious face. Black winter coat. Quiet. Peter pulled me aside. She said that's her husband. And she's been talking about making things right. But she also hinted she wants to see you now, not just the store. Seriously? She said she wanted to apologize in person. I didn't buy it. But I walked over. Regina looked right at me and said, "This has gotten out of hand." "Yeah," I said. "You made sure of that." The man next to her cleared his throat. "My name's Dan. I'm her husband." I had no idea any of this was going on. He looked tired. Older than he probably was. She didn't tell me what happened until the police showed up. He turned to her. "Do you want to tell her, or should I?" Regina crossed her arms. "This isn't fair." I was embarrassed. Everyone was attacking me online. People were laughing. "You started it," I said. "You stole my cart. You made a Facebook post lying about it. You had someone drop fake legal threats at my door. And now you're blaming me?" She stared at me. For a moment, her eyes weren't angry. Just lost. Then she said it. "I don't know why I do these things." It was like the whole store paused. Her voice cracked. "I don't know why I lie. Why do I yell? Why I can't stop once I start. I tell myself I'm just standing up for myself, but I always go too far." She looked down. "I've done this before. To teachers. To people in traffic. At restaurants. I've always been this way. I can't stop it." Her husband stepped in. "We've talked about this. You need help. Real help. Not excuses." Regina's voice rose again. "I just didn't want to look weak. I hate looking weak." "You humiliated yourself," someone muttered from behind us. A woman who had been bagging apples now stood nearby, arms crossed. Peter said quietly, "Let's not turn this into a show." Regina turned to me. "I'm sorry. I really am. But I also feel like I've been crushed by all of this. Like I'm the worst person in the world." "You tried to ruin me," I said. "I got legal calls. I had people messaging me online. I had to go to the police. This wasn't just some little mistake." She nodded. "I know." And then, like something out of a movie, her stepdaughter walked in. Regina froze. The girl walked right up to her. "You told him it was just a misunderstanding," she said to Regina. "You told me you were going to fix it." "I am fixing it." "No, you're controlling the story like you always do." She turned to me. "She told our whole extended family that you attacked her. That she was defending herself. She still hasn't told them the truth." Regina's husband closed his eyes. "You lied to me too," he said. "You made me believe you were being bullied." "Because I was," she screamed, the mask slipping again. "Everyone turned on me. One mistake and I became the villain." "No," I said. "You chose to lie. Repeatedly. You escalated it every step." Her stepdaughter pulled out her phone and said, "I think she needs to hear it." "What?" She hit play on a voice recording. "I don't care what the footage shows. I'll say she pushed me. Once it's online, nobody will know the difference." It was Regina's voice. Clear. Unmistakable. "She said that to me in the car," her stepdaughter said. "I recorded it. In case she tried to drag me down with her." Everyone went silent. Peter's walkie-talkie beeped. He didn't even answer it. Regina's face went pale. Her husband looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just walked out. Behind me, I heard the husband say something like, "We're done here." Not loud. Not cruel. Just tired. The stepdaughter followed me to the parking lot. "I'm sorry," she said. "For all of it. You don't owe me anything." She always plays the victim, she said. Even when she starts the fire, she acts like she's the one getting burned. I nodded. Then she said, "You made her face it. Nobody else ever did." And then she left. The police closed the harassment case the following week. The restraining order was granted for 12 months. Regina never reached out again. A month later, I got a call from Peter. She had been officially banned from every jewel store in the region. The security footage was used to clear my name online. One of the Facebook mods from the Moms group even made a public apology on Regina's behalf after kicking her out of the group. Her fake accounts? All gone. It wasn't about a cart. It was about control. About power. About someone who had lived so long manipulating people that she couldn't stop, even when the lie collapsed on her. And yeah, I was angry. But more than anything, I felt relieved. Because it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth. The truth stood. And she had to face it. Publicly. Completely. I don't feel sorry for her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I hope she gets help. I hope her family finds peace. As for me, I do my grocery shopping on Mondays now. Early in the morning. When the store is quiet. Peaceful. No more drama. No more stolen carts. Just me, the list, and a new sense of clarity.